Hello and welcome. I'm Cher, the Shadow Walker. And this morning I'm giving you a report on Bigfoot, Hellhound, Dogman, Skinwalker, and spider humanoid sightings in the western provinces. Pitt Lake area, there's been vocalization sounds near the edge of the lake reported on March 8th. In Cranbrook, at the Mount Baker Hotel and the Fire Hall on March 7th, sightings involving large, upright figure moving with impossible speed was reported in the wooded outskirts, consistent with the surge in the interest in the Kootenays this year of Bigfoot. Dogman in Tumbler Ridge. Their witnesses describe a large canine on March 7th with a wolf-like head and a humanoid body standing motionless near the tree lines. It seemed to gaze into them with incredible intelligence. Vancouver Island, northern area, remote. The passive search team near the 2026 BFRO expedition zone reports large bipedal canine tracks in the melting snow. These tracks were found in a linear path, suggesting a bipedal gait rather than a four-legged animal. Hellhounds and shadow entities. In Victoria, the Bastien Square corridor on March 8th at night, multiple reports of a large, coal-like black dog with glowing eyes manifesting near the old gallows. Westminster, shadows resembling large hounds were seen near BC Penitentiary gates. Observers noticed that the air became unusually cold and heavily static in feeling just before the sighting. Spider humanoids. In the Peace River region, unconfirmed reports of a spider-like movement, limbs moving in disjointed, multi-jointed fashion were sighted by a motorist near Fort St. John on March 9th. In the BC interior, shapeshifters. Following a trend seen in the neighboring prairies, a report of a wolf-to-human transition was noted near Highway 97 corridor. The witness described a large wolf that appeared to stand up and broaden into human shape before disappearing into the brush. Next, we'll take a look at Alberta. In Alberta, Horse Thief Canyon. This remains a primary hotspot. Between March 7th through March 9th, 3 separate reports were logged involving dogman encounters near the canyon floor. One account specifically notes the soul-reading intelligence in the eyes of the creature, matching reports from Ontario and other provinces earlier this year. In the Nordic region, known for world-famous tree structures, this area saw a spike in Bigfoot activity on March 8th. Researchers found fresh tracks near the moss near the Bighorn woodlands. Vocalizations reports were not just screams, but resonant hums that made you feel the mental pressure. Hellhounds. Highway 2, Red Deer and Calgary area. On the night of March 8th, multiple motorists reported a hellhound, a large, pitched black canine with glowing red eyes, pacing vehicles at speeds exceeding 110 kilometers before vanishing instantly. These have been added to the National Sightings section in Lethbridge and Medicine Hat. Skinwalkers. Reports surfaced involving an unnatural wildlife. Witnesses describe a coyote that stood up on its hind legs with human-like joints moving towards the coulees with disconjointed wrong gait. Spider humanoids. In St. Albert and Edmonton, the outskirts, on March 9th, a resident reported a spider humanoid scuttering across the fence line. The entity was described as pale, extremely thin, and having too many elbows, moving in a way that defied standard mammalian biology. In Fort Edmonton Park, while official paranormal tours were active, ending in March 15th, they will end March 15th. Independent reports from the perimeter mentioned pale, multi-limbed shadows moving near the river valley, separate from standard haunting activity. In Saskatchewan, St. Louis Light and Rougarou Dogman, the St. Louis Railbed. On the night of March 7th, investigators monitored the St. Louis Ghost Light report more than just the traditional lantern-like orbs. Multi-witnesses describe a large bipedal canine identified in the local oral traditions as Rougarou, shadowing the railbed. The lantern. A witness reported from March 8th describes a light behaving erratically, followed by the sound of a heavy bipedal footsteps. This has been logged in the Saskatchewan file as ghost phenomena and dogman activity. They can't decide on that one. Bigfoot and Wendigo. Prince Albert National Park. Reports from March 8th indicate a high-frequency mind-speak event near the northern edge of the park. Hikers report a sudden overwhelming feeling of being watched, followed by a mental push or a directive to leave the area. The Aquapel Valley, Wendigo style. A sighting was reported on March 9th. The entity was described as unnaturally tall and gaunt, moving with a gliding speed through the brush. This aligns with the fractal notes in the historic areas of high strangeness during the early spring thaws in this area. Hellhounds and skinwalkers on Highway 11 in Saskatoon and Regina on March 8th. A hellhound sighting occurred near the Chamberlain area. A motorist described a massive coal black dog with eyes that glowed like the St. Louis lights pacing their truck at highway speeds. The Southern Saskatchewan River, Saskatoon outskirts. A report of a skinwalker surfaced on March 7th. A security guard near the river valley described a large deer that stood up and rearranged its limbs to look more like a human before disappearing into the darkness. Spider humanoids. Wakmo Valley, that's Moose Jaw area. On the evening of March 8th, a resident reported a humanoid spider scaling the steep embankment of the valley. The creature was described as pale, translucent, and having extremely long, multi-jointed limbs that moved in rapid clicking fashion. In Manitoba, the Pass, Big Eddy. On March 7th, the sighting was reported near the entrance of a wooded trail. A very tall man-like creature was observed scraping the trees with both hands and emitting a rhythmic pounding sound. Local investigators noted that while the creature coexisted quietly most of the year, this early spring activity suggests territorial marking phase. Norway House, the Nelsons River area. Reminiscent of the historic 2005 footage, a ferry operator reported a tall, dark humanoid moving along the riverbank on the morning of March 8th. The figure was estimated to be nearly 3 meters tall and displayed characteristics of heavy-set features of a northern Sasquatch. Dogman and or Rougarou. Rural Manitoba, south of Winnipeg, a string of unexplained livestock and domestic dog disappearances peaked on March 8th. Local residents in the surrounding municipalities reported a large, muscular, wolf like entity that stood on hind legs, bipedal. Witnesses described the creature as having malicious diversions in its expressions, often flashing a toothy sneer when spotted. Opping Provincial Park. Backcountry travelers report intense vocalizations on March 9th in the early morning hours. The sounds were described as soft at first, building into a high-pitched metallic howl that felt unnatural for a standard timber wolf. Hellhounds and shadow entities. In Winnipeg, the Marlborough Hotel. During a small paranormal gathering on March 7th, attendees reported a large charcoal black canine shadow manifesting in the corridors of the fifth floor. These were accompanied by sudden drops in temperature and the smell of ozone characteristics of hellhound manifestations. Falcon Lake, near the site of the historic 1967 encounter, researchers noticed a frequency spike on March 8th. Shadows reassembling hounds were seen pacing the tree lines throughout the lack of physical mass, though they had lacked in physical mass, appearing more as energetic imprints. Skinwalkers and spider humanoids. Interlake region. On March 7th, a report surfaced of a coyote near Gimli that appeared to have human-like shoulders and joints. The entity was seen unfolding its limbs to move from a four-legged run into a bipedal sprint. The behavior consistent with a skinwalker. In the Thompson Northern region, a spider humanoid crawler was sighted on the night of March 8th, early morning hours of March 9th, near the mining site. The witness described a pale, translucent figure with elongated limbs and too many joints scaling the rock face with extreme speed. The movement was described as clicking and disconjointed. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful day. And if you'd like, please hit subscribe. It really helps me in the algorithms. Thank you.